Thank you so much. Surrender. It's indeed, Surrender said, very difficult to add anything to what we know and to say something new about the achievements and honors that have been earned and awarded to Pandit Ravi Shankar. Just from in the United States, the many Grammy Awards he's won, his honorary degrees at U.S. universities, his performances at the White House, his role in popularizing Indian music throughout the West and in the United States. Myself, like many others, grew up listening to recordings, first on vinyl, then CD of this amazing, to us, music, first very exotic, and then part of our lives and beings, and just a beautiful part of our lives. His role in popularizing music throughout the West is very well known. His connection with the Beatles, I just want to add just a footnote to that he wasn't discovered directly by George Harrison, but there's an American connection there too as well, in the point of fact that he was recording in an American studio next to the California band The Byrds, who were inspired by his music, integrated some elements into their own recordings and told their friend George Harrison about this amazing music. And the rest we know of that story. It's also just nothing new to talk about the amazing graciousness and generosity of Pandit Ravi Shankar. I've had the opportunity just in the last few years with the U.S. Embassy to bring a number of esteemed guests to visit him. And I cannot tell you the level of excitement and the deep honor that they feel to have the opportunity to meet Pandit Ravi Shankar. We've brought jazz musicians who feel a special affinity to to Indian classical music because of the role of improvisation in both traditions, have come. And I remember one particular group arrived, and we said, we've had an invitation for you to visit Rimba, to his the Ravi Shankar Institute of Music and Performing Arts, and to conduct a workshop jointly with some of his senior students. And if we're very lucky, because Pandit hadn't been keeping well, he might stop in. So the group arrived, and we introduced them to the students, to the assembled audience. They had a brief session, and then indeed Panditji walked in with his devoted wife Shukanya, and carrying his beloved poodle with him, and sat down and met him, and I was able to introduce these distinguished musicians to him, telling him, though he knew many of them, the many awards they'd had, their lineage, how some of them had directly worked with great masters of jazz, John Coltrane, Miles Davis, and etc. So they had a brief performance. There was a brief performance from his students, from Ravi Shankar's disciples, and then there was going to be the fusion performance, or the jugalbandi between the two groups. So Pandit walked over to the piano and played out a raga for them to work with, the two groups. And so the pianist repeated it back. The American musician said, "Okay, I think we have this. We started playing." And they started out gently, the two groups of musicians together. His students, of course, knowing just what to do with the material, giving some time to the Americans to play into it. And the Americans, as good jazz musicians do, started embellishing the material, adding in embellished chords, adding in some complex, what we call changes, to get back to the harmonic base of the thing. And I noticed that I was sitting next to Panditji, and I noticed that he looked a bit uncomfortable, and I was hoping that he wasn't feeling ill again, but he leaned over and he said, "These people, they don't understand the raga, this is cacophony." And he, though maintained a serene smile, but just gave a little sign to his students to kind of take over, and they played a little more assertively. The Americans quieted down a little bit, and it ended harmoniously, very nicely. And I heard later from the American musicians how difficult that was for them, and how much They learned just in that moment about how they still needed to listen. Master musicians, after all, but still needed to listen and didn't even know where one was in this music. So, to me, that really sums up the importance of a figure like Pandit Ravi Shankarji to both of our cultures. We have so much to share with each other, but we have to keep listening and learning from each other, and there's so much there. And this is my great appreciation for Pandit Ravi Shankar.